Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 1027 to 1029 for the 16th to 18th of December. So we're going to start off with the Kursk front, and then we'll go clockwise direction. So we're going to go into the Kursk front first. And for those that have noticed, I have installed my replacement mic. It's the same exact mic that I broke. So hopefully this is better. There might be some echoes still because I haven't done soundproofing. So over in the Kursk front, the strategic situation is changing. So it's no longer the same. So we go to the western flank first. So over the western flank, we zoom in a bit. Okay, not too much. Okay, Russian forces attacking at Nikolaevo Darino, Svidiklovo, Nizhny, Lebedevka, Leonidovo, and there's fighting at Leonidovo. Some changes over there, even Novo-Ivanovka, and then we into the northern flank we have fighting at Krylenkoe, Novaya Storokina, Pogrebki. This is I forgot what is his name, Maryevka, Nedinov, Malaya Loknia, Ruskaya Parashnoe. So there is a huge advance, huge increase in the attacks, in the intensity of the attacks in the northern flank. So this is definitely a new operation where the Russians are attacking from the north, from the northern flank, and then this is in concurrent with the existing attacks coming from the western flank. So the Russians are making serious pushes around here. Some frontline changes over in the Krylenkoe, Novo-Ivanovka region. And so if we zoom in, we can be able to see this one I probably have mentioned quite a number of times already, especially in the frontline changes report, with the Russian forces taking most of the Krylenkoe forest and the open grounds around here. This is a massive capture. Ukrainian forces geolocated just off Novo-Ivanovka, invalidating some Russian claims. However, in the latest geolocation, we have the Russian forces basically appearing on the end of the west, like the eastern end of Novo-Ivanovka, confirming Russian presence around this sector, despite the Ukrainian appearance over in the north of this very position. So this definitely helps us to establish where the front line probably is. So this is interesting for the Novo-Ivanovka region, where we definitely still can see that the Ukrainians are still fighting to maintain their positions in the Kursk region, as if Kursk is part of Ukraine. So actually, in fact, they defend Kursk more than they defend Ukraine. So the northern flank, we are seeing a lot of actions around here. We have Pogrebki, Maryevka, Novaya Storokina, Nedinov, Malaya Loknia. So which means that if we link all this up, as of course Ruskaya Parashnoe, we can kind of estimate where the front line may actually be. It might actually look like this. This might actually be where the front line is, and we have fighting reported at Viktorovka. Perhaps it might even be like this. So the chain of settlements. This might actually be where the front line is, and then with Krylenkoe now with geolocation of Russian forces over there, so the front line may be like this. So this is actually where the front line could actually looks like. So let me delete some of this. So yeah, so help you to understand the situation on the ground right now. It is gonna look different from the actual the mapping that we have based on the sources. So this is based on my analysis, based on the where the fighting is always being reported. This looks like where the front line actually is. So and there is also more changes. Fighting in the eastern flank at Matanovka, this did not change. But over in the southern flank, there is new changes. So Russian forces on top of Goevo, they no longer fight at Krylovo. The latest Russian Defense Ministry report from yesterday, not latest actually, because today's report came out already. Fighting is now moving into Milovoye. And they also reported about fighting at Cherkasskaya Konopelka. This is new. We haven't seen the Russian Defense Ministry mention Cherkasskaya Konopelka for a long time. The last report was on the 11th, which is actually from Ryba, if I not remember wrongly. So definitely we are moving. We are seeing the Russians moving more in the southern flank as well. The Kursk counter-offensive is now ramping up into a new gear. So that's all. Milivoje is the first report of its kind, the Russian attack into Milivoje. So the Russians are definitely pushing more in the southern flank. We move on to the Kharkiv front. At the Kharkiv front, we have over on this side fighting reported at Alexandrivka and Kozacha Lopan. I don't think much to think about. Shellings reported at Kuleshchev, not important. Over the Lipsy sector, we have fighting reported at Klipoke as well as Lipsy. So that's all. Over in the Voschan sector, we have fighting reported at Stanikove as well as Voschansk. There is some frontline change at Voschansk with actions being geolocated of Russians throwing an anti-tank mine at a building over this sector. So we have a rough frontline change in this area here. I did saw that the military summary have the mapping a bit different. They map this entire area, I think, as under Russian control. So I personally did not see any geolocation to indicate that, so I did not change it. But that's all. But no, it is a gray zone. People go there just to die. So no, I don't think it's nothing anything surprising for the Russians to take that position. This is definitely the newer thing, but of course it's only reported on the 16th, which means that most likely there's nothing happened already. And also I did do a conclusions yesterday, so do check out the conclusions, which I go a lot deeper into the analysis, the strategic situation, so tactical stuff, objective for the Russians, so do check it out. Over in the Voreshna front, the Russian Defense Ministry talked about Novomlinsk again in their yesterday's SITREP. Fighting is reported at Voreshna. So the Voreshna offensive is now ongoing. Geolocation confirmed the Russian presence in the south that was previously mapped by the Ukrainian mapping. And we move to the Kupiansk front. At the Kupiansk front, there is fighting reported at Kupiansk, Kucherevka, as well as Petropavlivka. So nothing particularly new regarding all these areas here. What is new is the report of fighting at Ivanivka. So this is reported in yesterday's Russian Defense Ministry report. Not sure if this is something new or something good to they're going to do something new in this area here. We move towards the Pischani front. At the Pischani front, this is developing into a dragon. You can see that this is like the mouth, and then very angry. This is becoming like a dragon with the nostril over here, some small little horn. So this is becoming a dragon head. And this is the mouth. The mouth has been captured. So this is the latest Ukrainian mapping. Continue to expand the areas south of Pischani to be captured by the Russian forces. I'm not sure if this is a delayed reporting of what actually happened, but or is this an active offensive that the Russians are conducting? It actually, I have to say, it is possible that this has already been captured for a month, but just that they have not wanted to reveal this information. So you have to take this with a pinch of salt, that this might not actually be a current offensive, but it might actually be a ongoing offensive that the Russians has been doing. So we can't be sure, we can't tell, but the Russians continue to expand their control, and this time round they captured another series of 3 lines that is really important east of Zarizove. The Russians are attacking in the Zarizove region. There is fighting reported at Koliniskivka as well. I'm going to zoom in, push down a little bit so that we can actually yeah. And Russians are also attacking towards Khrushchevka. So that's all from this Pischani front. And over in the Borova front, there is fighting reported. Maybe this shelling, but Novoplatinovka was mentioned. Lozova, Vishneve, Kopanki, Novosehievka, Nadia, Svedoklivo, Svedoklibove, Novoyehorivka, and Chernyshkina. So this area continued to be very fought over, and we have to note again, Zeleny High was mentioned by the Russian Defense Ministry to have captured already. So the front line may actually not look like this. So we have to continue to wait for more sources to review whether there's actually any updates regarding this area here. So this is wrong color. Over at the southern part of the Svetove front, we have fighting reported at Kharkivka and Makievka. This is the consistent situation, no change regarding this over the past 3 days. Over in the Liman or Crimea front, fighting reported at Terny, Yampolivka, Torske, as well as Serbiansky Forestry. So strategically, nothing changed as well in this sector. Over in the Sivas front, the Sivas front seems to flare up again. So the past 3 days seems that the Russians have gone into some kind of major offensive. There's fighting reported at Bilohorivka, Kharkivka, Verkhamoknyamsky, Spurny, Ivano-Darivka, Siversk, as well as Zvenivka. So this front line start to burn again. Unsure if this will last. The last report was on the 17th. The Zvenivka, there's nothing being reported on the 18th. So we might be nothing burger. Like Verkhamoknyamsky we have on the 18th, Bilohorivka we have only on the 17th. So it could be the one-off attack, maybe a diversionary attempt, and then like the whole thing just died down again. So tentatively, I personally don't. I think Sivers is a doable offensive, a doable capture for the Russians if they want to, but it is going to cost them a lot because geographically this is more advantageous for the Ukrainians, and there's really no need to attack Sivers. Although it's not as bad, I would say, like compared to the Chasivia region, but because the Russians could basically just go around Sivers and cut off the retreat route, and see the entire Sivers front would just collapse. And strategically, the Russians could just hold this line and cause the Ukrainians to stretch their logistic. So it's not really important to capture Sivers. Similarly, I mean, Chasivia is like even more pointless because this entire area itself heavily entrenched. It's like smashing yourself into the wall, which I think the Russians should learn from the Ukrainians not to do, because the Ukrainians do exactly that in the 2023 offensive where they crash into the Zaporizhia line. So over in the Bakhmut front, we have fighting reported. Let's go to the northern flank first. We have fighting reported at Orikhovo, Vasilivka, Kharkivka, and Chasivia. These are all very one-off-ish attacks. Don't think too much about it. There is some frontline changes at Chasivia. Ukrainian forces geolocated in the industrial zone, recapturing back some of the area that was previously geolocated to have a Russian presence. So the Russians retreated, and Ukrainians retaken the position around this Chasivia region. Definitely, it's just a tease. Over in the southern flank, there is a Russian forces attack at Steposhki as well as Belohora. Belohora is around here. So strategically, nothing particularly special is happening. As I mentioned, Chasivia is not a meaningful. This front line is just pointless for the Russians to attack. As long as the Russians are able to secure the canal as their front line, then I think it's perfectly fine. There's no point to go further for now. Over the Torex front, we have fighting reported at Dilievka, Torex, Skibinivka, and Novopaske, or Petrivka, the other name for it. There is geolocation of Russian forces invalidating part of the Zabalka region that was previously claimed by the Ukrainian side. The Russian forces definitely have advanced, and they are on the verge of full confirmed capture of the entire Zabalka region. And let me know how the mic sounds like nowadays. With this new replacement mic. Over in Skibinivka, Ukrainian forces has been geolocated to have taken back some of the grounds, but of course this geolocation is a sad one, as the armored vehicle got destroyed by shelling. So this is just the reality of geolocation. Usually only bad stuff get geolocated usually, so it's always bad news. So and there's nothing else over on this side except for the shelling over at Stara Mikhailovka, which is very unimportant. So the heavy defense line around here seems to that's a part, and the Russians doesn't feel like they want to do anything here. Of course, there's also no point to do anything there, just to say. Over at the Pokrov front. At the Pokrov front in the Minokhrad sector, we have fighting reported at Marolibivka, Sukiya, and Lisivka. Nothing much is going to happen here. As I mentioned many times, this is going to be a static line. due to the fact that it's just no point to attack this area here for now. Over in the Pokrov sector, this area here definitely is blowing up. This is looking like a seal right now, though. Like this is like a seal, and then this is the nose of the seal, and then it's like it's happy, haha, it's happy, and then it's going to have a ball here so that I can spin the ball, and then it will entertain you, and then you get accused by activists by you are abusing animals. So learn your lesson. Don't tell the seal to play with the ball. Or at least not your balls. So over in the Pokrov sector, the Russian forces are attacking at the Chanske, Zelene, Virozhenia, Novoukrenka. They're fighting towards Pokrov, Shevchenko, Pischany, Vovkove, Novopustinka, Novotroitsky, and Novovasilivka. And you can see how crazy this area is. This is very intense. The Russians are pushing very hard in this region. The Ukrainians are doing their best to defend this line. This line is very well reinforced because Pokrov is just here. So reinforcement definitely shouldn't be a problem to this sector. However, the intensity of the fighting is just very intense. I think despite all this, they have the support of a major city, Pokrov. On this front line, the Russians are still making progress. The Russians have advanced to the edge of Novovasilivka, capturing huge ground, opening the first battle of Voskove. Vovkove was mentioned for the first time. Russians are pushing towards Pischany. They have captured grounds in the north of Shevchenko. And then Ukrainian forces, of course, are also geolocated, but this north of the front line. And they have secured most of the northwestern part of Shevchenko. Verozhenia seems to also be almost fully secured or fully captured. And the Chanske, the entire western part, is down. So this is the current situation over in the Pokrov sector of the Pokrov front. Very, very intense fighting in this sector. If we zoom in, you can see a bit more clearer. Russian forces in the Chanske capturing the entire western wing, leaving just a little bit over on the east that is still under Ukrainian control. Russian forces have taken huge grounds around here. Zeleny is now under threat. If we move further up, you can see that Vorozhenia is near capture, with the Russian forces taking most of Vorozhenia already and securing the entire northern part of Vorozhenia from the attack coming from Shevchenko. In the Shevchenko region, Russian forces have moved up north of Shevchenko, confirming that they have captured the entire northwestern part of Shevchenko. Ukrainian forces most likely still hold the northeastern part that is leading towards Pokrov. And the front line is already pushing towards Pischany. They are getting really close there already. Ukrainian forces geolocated to engage by the Russian forces very, very nearby. And then the Russians have secured all the way to this lake around here. So this entire line here is fully secured over in the west of Shevchenko, which is actually north of Novopustinka and Novotroitsky. So this entire line is now very secured as the Russians are now pushing towards Pischany over there. And the Russian forces geolocated basically on the edge of Novovasilivka, confirming that the Russians have secured all the way along the Solona River, and they have now started the battle for Novovasilivka, coming from where? Novotroitsky region. So this is a very significant changes all over these places. This is definitely very, very fierce. Despite the frontline changes, doesn't look like a lot per se, but it's the most intense fighting. So it is what it is. Over in this Pushkine sector, or the southern part, the southern flank of the Pokrov front, the Russian forces are now moving towards Novoyezhelivka, Novoelenivka. They are pushing a little bit out of Pushkine. So it looks like there might be some very strong resistance around here by the Ukrainian forces, because the lack of advancement in this area just seems to suggest strong Ukrainian defense. Russian forces are attacking Zoria, Novo-Oleksievka region. So that's about it. Russian forces still located north of Pushkine. might suggest that Ukraine indeed is holding this salient around here. So very, very strong Ukrainian lines around here. And I think it is sensible. I think it makes sense. This is a FPV drone hitting a pickup truck with electronic warfare. So this makes sense because they have to defend this entire line. So the Ukrainian line in this area here have to defend the entire sector that is currently under massive threat with the Russians pushing in all directions. So if this collapse, if the Russians push down, then this entire front will be like pointless. They would might as well just give it up. So this is why the northern flank you have to hold. At least they give the southern flank some meaning in defending their fronts. So over in the Kurakove sector, Russian forces have expanded control around Sonsivka. I think, in fact, this is in fact Sonsivka is now under Russian control. It's like it's already full capture. I didn't see why they never. Yeah, why did they not? Yeah, they occupy. So I missed this part. So let's give the flag to the Russians. Russian forces captured Sonsivka. So it's a 17. So this is a confirmed capture already by the Russian forces in the of Sonsivka. So Russian forces captured Sonsivka. They have captured the rest of the railway line north of Bereski. Russian Defense Ministry announced the capture of Stary Terny. Fighting is reported in this area as they move towards Dashny as well. And there is some updates regarding in the battle of Kurakove as well, with the Russian making some advance. So we're going to zoom in this sector at Kurakove to go into details. So as we zoom in, you can see that the Russian forces have taken the entire tree line south of Kurakove. In Kurakove itself, the Russians have flanked north, taken more high-rise buildings and capturing almost the rest of the neighborhood in the south. So they have captured most likely the city hospital as well as they continue to move in this northerly direction, flanking the Ukrainians at the fish farm as well as the rest of the high-rise building in this sector. So this flanking movement is going to collapse this entire area, and I think whatever left is just smaller buildings and then the power plant over on the western part of the city. So that's all for Kurakove. Over the Uspenivka front, this is probably the last time we're going to see this front line, this front called Uspenivka front, as we're going to like lump this front line. Yeah, I'm not sure if we still want to call it the Uspenivka front. Maybe we could, or we could just call it the Kurakove South front, because Uspenivka has been captured by the Russian forces. So Uspenivka finally falls to the Russians. The Ukrainian mapping have now conceded most of Uspenivka, but for me, I already list it as captured because they do not want to call it occupied by the Russian forces because cope. So Russian forces captured Hanivka, captured Trudove, captured Uspenivka, closing the entire massive salient that is impossible to be there. Russian forces captured Trudove, moving out all the way up north. They go down the highway, capturing most of the road, capturing most of Konstantinopolsk, and then they basically secure the crossing. Most of Uspenivka is captured. The Russians raise a flag, walking very relaxingly. Definitely means that a huge, at least a 1 meter buffer zone definitely has established. Ukrainian forces definitely have retreated and given up positions at Uspenivka. So the entire Ukrainian mapping that do not want to acknowledge the capture of Uspenivka is just coping. So in the north, the Russians are also advancing. This entrenchment here, definitely, I don't think the Ukrainians are holding defense there. I think this is just a death trap if you try to stay there. And the fact that the Russians are walking with their flag very relaxingly, that shows that the Ukrainians are far gone from that sector. So Konstantinopolsk is already almost full capture. So this entire region is now upped. Freshly upped. No, fresh up. So that's all from the Uspenivka sector. Over at the Constantinople front, fighting is reported towards Yantarni already, Sukiyali. A huge capture of grounds towards Constantinople, which is a disaster for the Ukrainians. The distance from the town to the latest front line is 1.5 kilometers. This is the next Voleda. So I mentioned I talk about this in the conclusion to check it out. The link will be at the end of the video, and fighting is moving towards Roslev. So that's the situation in this sector at the Constantinople. And we move further on to the Velyki Novosilka sector. In the northern flank, we have Russian forces recapturing Rozdone. So this is the second time the Russians have captured it after the Ukrainians incurred, but the Ukrainian mapping have considered, and the Russians have been geolocated within Rozdone again. The Russian forces also have captured most of Novikoma as the battle continued to be waged in these two towns. We move further south in the Velyki Novosilka. Okay, that's along this river, the Mokriali River. So at the Mokriali sector, I would say, Russian forces are attacking Velyki Novosilka. The fiercest battle is actually at Blahodatny and Starizove, with the Russian mapping claims. This is the Russian claim that the Russian forces have entered into Starizove already, fighting in the middle of Starizove, and they claim that Makarivka has already been abandoned by the Ukrainian forces based on their sources on the ground. So Russian forces geolocated to have entered Makarivka from the east. So there is a possibility that what the Russian sources saying is true, where the Russians have fully captured Makarivka and they are now storming Starizove. But take this with a pinch of salt for now. So Russian forces are also pushing towards Nekushny from the west and capturing more grounds. And if you're going to merge the Russian claims with the other side where the Ukrainian mapping comes, the entire region here is now already under Russian control, as now the pressure is now pushing towards Nekushny. So that's what's happening in this sector. Fighting is now moving towards Vremivka as well, and towards Novosilka. Geolocation of Russian forces in the region of the Rivnopil, super not important because it's so far away from the front line. So this area here is now totally messed up. If I zoom in, you can see that Russian forces is now attacking towards Starizove already. Makarivka is now all gone. Russian forces have taken all of the grounds, linking these two areas together. You can see that the Russians basically have, almost routing the Ukrainian forces in this region here. So, and over on this other side of the Velyki Novosilka sector, I'm not even sure what I want to call this, Zelenopole sector. Russian forces are pushing towards Novosilka, Zelenopole, Novopil, Novodarivka, as well as Temberivka. So there is some major lines moving up here, but this line, so far we have seen the Ukrainians defending it pretty well. So yeah, or maybe this is just a diversion where the real attack is over along the Mokriali River. That's also a possibility. So we move into the Zaporizhia front. At the Zaporizhia front, there is over the past 3 days quite a number of attacks across the entire front. There is one attack at Huyapole. Kayamsky was mentioned. What is this called? Lokove was mentioned. The main attack is still coming from Nesteryanka, Novoandrievka, Orkiv, and the Novodanilivka sector. This remains to be the main one. The rest are all very harassment type of attack. Ukrainian forces have an anti-aircraft getting destroyed by FPV drone, which is the irony, at the south of Novosilivka. And if you zoom into the Nesteryanka region, we're going to see some frontline change as well. So in the north of Nesteryanka, Russian forces geolocated in an entirely new position, confirming Russian advance in this sector, capturing more grounds in this area here. The distance traveled is around 2.4 kilometers. So it might look small on the map, but that is because the fields over here are just huge. All these farmland are just massive. So it looks as if it's small, but it's actually pretty huge. If you zoom into the size of the building, you can see, if imagine just that smaller than the 1 pixel as a human being. Yeah, it is a huge area in this area here. So fighting at Lokove is a bit interesting. There's fighting report at Kremske, a bit interesting, but I don't think these are real offensive. We move into the Kherson front. At the Kherson front, we have fighting reported over in the Dnipro direction, generally speaking. But we have no idea where the hell is these places. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry just lump it all together. Otherwise, shelling reported in Hulet, Mikhailsky, Stadovit, Internevka, as well as Yantarny. So otherwise, nothing particularly special about this sector. And that's about it. So anyway, this is the summary for the day of 1027 to 1029 for the 16th to 18th of December, the past 3 days, because I've been busy. I already mentioned a lot, so I'm not going to repeat again. So check out the conclusions. It's a different kind of report. It talks a bit more on the more focus on the analysis and my opinions. So anyway, thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update. And let me know about the new mic. It's here. Ding.